So this is where the Mazda Miata MX-5 is in its elements. It is in the twisties, and in my area, this is one of my favorite parts to test the cars that I rent and to see how they maneuver. And this car is just at home in the twists and turns. The car is set up, suspension, motor, brakes, steering, everything like that is set up for driving in the turns and the twists of hill country or mountains. So much so that Mazda even designed the headlights to actually move as you turn to give you better visibility. And it is quite fun to drive. And it does well in the city too. So the harmony of all the sum of the car's parts is just, you can just see it while you're driving in this type of environment. The engine roar, just the smooth, buttery turns. It just cuts through these turns like Swiss cheese. Oh my goodness. Usually bigger cars I have to brake, but this little Mazda Miata Pocket Rocket, oh my gosh, it just eats up these turns like nothing. It also helps that the car is super light as well. You just press on the brake and slight turn. Oh man, this is a dream. Yes, you could drive this on the open road, but man, oh, these turns. All right, an S turn coming up. Do a little bit of braking and then accelerate through the apex. Oh, it eats it up so well. This is like driving porn right here. This week's weekly rental is the Mazda Miata MX-5 with the Sky Active engine. This is a 2-seater, 2-door, front engine, rear wheel drive roadster, small compact sportster car. Designed wheels sitting on 17-inch rims. Really small, sleek, sporty design feature from Mazda. Powered by an inline 4-cylinder engine mounted for rear wheel drive. It's a pretty nice looking car. Very compact. Very much so that you can only fit really like one carry-on in the trunk. And let's hop inside real quick. It is a two-seater, nothing in the back. There is a drop-top roof. Now I'm a 6 foot tall guy, and as I hop in, this thing is very cramped. I'm in a constant upright position. But when you're in here, you're greeted with an analog and digital dash and steering wheel column with infotainment controls on the left and cruise control on the right, traction controls, power windows and locks, controls, a little area for storage, really no cup holder. The infotainment system is a little pop-up 7-inch screen. You have your air vents here and controls on the bottom. You have heated seats or cooling seats as well, and gear shifter. You have your quirky Mazda infotainment control system, but you also have touchscreen as well. But this kind of gets a little bit of getting used to, but it works. It works quite well. This is the center console. You could probably fit a wallet in there, and that's about it. Cup holders is ironically seated back here, and there is no glove compartment on the passenger side. The glove is seated back here. Now, what's cool is that there is an automatic roof. So you press up on the lever and it starts doing its thing. Set it as a drop top. And then let's take a look how the car looks as a drop top from the outside. So really still aerodynamic, pretty smooth looking roadster. All right, so let's take this on the road and see how the car drives. All right, so the Mazda Miata MX-5 is quite a fun roadster to drive, period. Now, it's nothing of a world beater, but for a 4-cylinder rear-wheel drive roadster, it is quite fast in its class. Steering is very, very responsive. The car sits really low to the ground, so that also helps with steering as well too. The 4-cylinder provides enough power, and the light weight of the car itself also helps with acceleration and speediness around you. Now, power is not a strong suit, It does better in the twisties and turnies instead of on the straight highway roads. But out on the highway, it does perform well. You really don't need to worry about thinking about passing cars or anything like that. Since it's geared towards the sport driving, suspension is very stiff. You will feel every bump on the road. The seats are kind of like racing seats, so it doesn't help very much with the absorption of those bumps. Visibility is pretty good, if not exceptional. Really, there is a small blind spot, but the car is so small that you really don't notice it. Probably on the left hand side there's gonna be a blind spot right there, but if you use your turn signals, there is a blind spot indicator just in case somebody's coming up from behind you when you're trying to change lanes. Performance of the car overall, I really have no issues with it. More of it being the ergonomics. I am on the taller side, so it is a bit cramped and a little bit claustrophobic sometimes. And something's up with the steering wheel. It's leather wrapped, but it's really hard. So, but I guess, but there it is. Grippiness kind of makes your hand pretty sore. So pretty much this little roadster is kind of like the closest thing you could get to a motorcycle on four wheels. It's a pocket rocket, I described it. But performance aside, this is a rental car, so let's touch on how my impressions of this rental car. This car is such a niche car that as a rental you would probably only try to rent it if you, for the weekend, short weekend drive around town or short little road trips here or there. But to rent it as anything else is not really practical. I rented this and I'm driving it on the open road, a 400-mile drive, and I will not really recommend it. It's just that the seats are just upright. You can't really recline on there. There's really not enough space. There's just enough to carry the essentials around. And an hour into the road trip, I was feeling kind of sore. The stiff steering wheel made my hands kind of sore as well too. And I found myself taking quite a few breaks just to get out and stretch. So for the taller drivers, this might not be an ideal roadster, But for others that are not quite as tall as I am, I think like 6 foot is the limit. If you're like 6'1", 6'2", ooh, it's gonna be pretty tight, cramp. On top of that, you're limited to the size of the gas tank, which is about like a 10-gallon gas tank, which gives you just a little bit over 300 miles, and that will be suffice. But on a 400-mile road trip, you're pretty much limited on there. But I don't think you would want to sit in the car for the whole 300 miles anyways, so that probably plays in as a positive as well. Cabin noise, as you can hear, it's pretty, it's louder than normal sedan cars or other vehicles, just because there's nothing to absorb the sound, very little cushioning to absorb the sound. But you're driving it for the experience, so nothing there. I do find it kind of hard, for me at least, because the car is so low to the ground that every time I step outside the car, in and out, it's pretty hard to get in and out of the car. It's almost like a race car. So performance aside, I really like the car for its performance, but as a rental, it's so niche that I can't recommend this as a rental car. Only on certain situations you would want a roadster, but other than that, anything outside of it, I would not recommend it, which is really disappointing because I really like it as a performance vehicle, but as a rental, I hate to not recommend one. The only car that I have not recommended was the Chevrolet Spark, which was a very small, economical car. But this one, just because of its practicality, I couldn't recommend it unless you just want to drive it for the weekend, or have some fun with the car. Alright guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.